We talk to people who move to Raleigh, North Carolina all the time. And sometimes they tell us, we wish we knew certain things before we moved here. These are the 5 reasons you're going to love living in Raleigh and the 5 reasons you're going to hate it. I'm not talking about reels or clips or all of that stuff. We're talking about real stuff that settles in after you get here for a while. All right, so when we were relocating, we made the same research you did. We Googled it, went on YouTube. We also asked friends and family in the area, what's it really like to live there? What do you like? What do you not like? What areas are great? What areas are not great? And all of that. Here's 5 reasons you're going to love living in Raleigh NC. Number 1 reason you're going to love living in Raleigh NC, it is greener than you pictured it. Let me ask you something. What do you see in your mind when I say North Carolina? If you're like a lot of people, you might think of flat land, you might think of farmland, long country roads, red clay, and just a kind of a country feel. I pictured something like that too, and then I got here. First thing that really genuinely hit me was the trees. They are everywhere, and I don't mean in the parks. I mean they're everywhere. You have country roads lined with trees. You pull into a neighborhood and there are massive oak trees, just like the ones around me right here in our neighborhood. It looks like a canopy, and it looks like something out of a movie. Coming from where we came from, out west, where it was lots of rolling hills for sure, and lots of concrete. And there was also really just like dirt and dryness. This was a shock when we first got here. In fact, we pulled into our neighborhood and we were just like, we fell in love. We're like, this is gorgeous. Here's this part that surprised me even more than the way it looks. There are over 1,100 miles of trails in the Triangle area. That's not a typo. That's not a mistake. These are paved or maintained or gravel or dirt trails that are accessible for people to walk, to jog, to cycle all over the Triangle, Raleigh, North Carolina area. You can potentially get to a trail near your house and ride on that trail for hours without hitting a road. American Tobacco Trail is a really good example of that. I'm going to show you some footage of that. And it's 22 miles of canopy covered trail, much like this, but a smaller roadway that you can ride your bike on. Lots of people who've relocated here, all of them say the same thing. It was genuinely surprising how much greenery and trees are here. What they usually say is, I just didn't expect it to be this green. It sounds simple, but when you're researching where to move, you look at school districts, you look at neighborhoods, houses. Nobody sends you videos of the trees. So I'm sending you this video of the trees. And here, outdoor space in the trees leads us to something else, which is our next one on the list. Our love number 2 about Raleigh area is mountains to one side and ocean to the other. Think about where you live right now. How far is it to the mountains? How far are you from the beach? For some people, that's a plane ride or a day of driving, or maybe a couple of days of driving, especially if you're in the middle of the country. We're talking about places like the Outer Banks. 2 hours east of here is the Outer Banks. In fact, you could get up in the morning, have your morning coffee on the way, and you're at the beach. Now, reverse that, and 3 hours away to the east, you've got Boone, North Carolina, home of Appalachian State University and home of Blowing Rock, which is one of the most gorgeous tourist places in the country. Mountains, hiking, waterfalls, it's all there within 3 hours. Beach weekend, mountain weekend, you could do it all within the same month if you wanted to. No flights, no checked bags, just jump in the car with the kids or take off with your partner. I'll be real with you, the mountains really do hit differently in the fall, October time. If you've never seen the Blue Ridge Mountains, they're world famous, the Appalachian Trail. These are world famous places and American icons that once you see them, you understand why. My in-laws lived up in the mountains in the Blue Ridge, and we would wake up each day, have a coffee, and go out onto the balcony and just sit and just look at the mountains. They are gorgeous and they are blue. It's amazing. The rolling hills up in the mountains that are just absolutely gorgeous. Up in those hill towns, mountain towns, festivals, you have all these different kind of dances that happen, and farmers markets and artist markets and all kinds of different stuff. It's just a gorgeous part of the country, and it includes Appalachian State, it includes bluegrass festivals, including Merle Fest. Merle Fest is a world-famous 3-day gathering for bluegrass enthusiasts, and it's totally worth the ticket price and travel up there. Right down here in Raleigh, you've got Jordan Lake, which is a huge camping, fishing, boating area. All the fun stuff that you'd want to do on a lake, you can do at Jordan Lake. We're talking about kayaking, fishing, paddleboarding. They have eagles' nests there, actual bald eagles, right there on Jordan Lake. So here's a good thing to understand. Most metros give you maybe a good job market, or they have affordable homes, but they're landlocked, or they're coastal and expensive, or they're near mountains, but there's nothing to do when you get back. Raleigh gives you access to all three ecosystems: the city, the beach, and the mountains. None of them are more than 3 hours drive away. Green, trees, mountains, and access to the beach, that's the natural side. But what about actually raising your family here? That leads us to what we love about Raleigh, number 3. Raleigh is built for families without boring you to death. If you got kids, or you're planning to, or even if you don't, what I'm about to say does really actually make a difference in this market. Changes perspective on everything. By the way, before I talk to you about the family friendliness of Raleigh, which probably most people have heard about, we've got a few things we want to reveal that might not be in your average Google search. I want to let you know that we do help people relocate to this area and buy a home. That's what my company does, and that's what my business does. Reach out to us today if you'd like a customized home search area for places that'll match your needs and your lifestyle. Raleigh consistently ranks as one of the safest places in the country, as well as one of the most family-friendly areas to relocate your family on multiple lists year after year. And this is not just a branding, marketing ploy here. There's a reason people come here with families and want to be centric to the Raleigh, North Carolina area. It means that, for instance, Wake County, which is where central Raleigh, North Carolina city and most of the suburbs sit, Wake County has a well-regarded school system. Their Wake County district schools are well-rated overall, and that's a big deal for families moving. We just talked about where parks and spaces and lakes. We're talking about soccer parks and baseball parks and pickleball parks and all of the things that you would need for your family to thrive and live in this area. A few of these places, such as the town of Apex, the town of Cary, and the city of Raleigh, all have incredibly well-maintained parks. When I say incredibly maintained, I lived in California for really almost 30 years of my life, and I'd never seen parks like this, probably because people were lazy and just said, we'll just go to the beach. And that is a way to go, but kids can get bored and need playgrounds and places to exercise and get their energy out. They have the best playgrounds and parks. In fact, we have one nearby that's 5 minutes away that has 3 playgrounds in one. You've got the little kids playground, the medium kids, and then you've got this like swinging ships and dragons and all this stuff. It's like, who thought of this? But there are incredible spaces for kids to play. A lot of metros feel like you're giving up one thing for another, like you're trading lifestyle and fun for a cul-de-sac. We're talking about live music venues. The Carolina Hurricanes NHL hockey team is here. They were in the Stanley Cup, man. This is like a legit professional hockey team. They play here. The Durham Bulls, famous for Bull Durham movie from ages ago, is here in Durham. The museums, we have a award-winning North Carolina museum here, as well as free museums downtown. There's the Marble Museum, the Natural History Museum, full-size scale replicas of the dinosaurs, 3D dinosaur movies, like legitimate great stuff that kids love. Kids and adults. You can eat at a James Beard nominated restaurant on a Tuesday night and spend less than you would at a mediocre chain back home. All the surrounding areas and surrounding towns have character. The town of Apex, the town of Cary, they have great breweries, they have great cafes and roasteries. We even have a chocolate shop in downtown Raleigh called Vendiri that is spectacular, right next to my favorite roasters, Black and White Roasters coffee downtown. We get them delivered to our door. We just love the quality of the foods that are made here. Good schools, low crime, and actual things to do. Nature, culture, family, structure, all of that's here. Now let's talk about what drives most people to look at Raleigh in the first place. That's love number 4. Your money goes further here. When we first moved here, we got from the West Coast to the East Coast in 5 hours, but it was like stepping into another world. Let me tell a couple stories. Number one story, the cost of gasoline in California is more taxed than any other state in the union. That's what I was told, at least. And I believe it's like $1.50 or something just for the taxes, the schools, the lottery, all the stuff, right? And you're talking about when we got on the plane in San Diego, a gallon of gas was about $5.50. We got off the plane in Raleigh and a gallon of gas was about $3.20. Now, what the gas prices are today, I can't really say when you're watching this. It depends on if we're in a war with the Middle East, but basically, we got off the plane, it was like, wow, I'm instantly gonna save money here. Then we found out the price of electricity is like 15 cents a kilowatt hour. Well, over in San Diego, it was like 45 cents. It wasn't even worth it to get an electric vehicle because you were spending hundreds of dollars to fill it with electricity every month. Those were shocks when we got here. Here's another quick story, and this is a little bit off subject, but we got off the plane in the airport the first time I came here, and we went to the Starbucks in the airport because I wanted a coffee on the way out the door at the register. And he says, "Hey, how you doing today? How's your day going?" I said, "It's going all right. How are you doing?" You know, and he says, "I'm doing just great. Glad you're here. What can I get for you?" And when I say there were 20 people in line to get a coffee, and this was just hired the right guy for sure. This guy was just happy to be there. I turned to my wife and I said, "Was that real? Or is that guy putting me on?" She's like, "Nope, he's just happy and he's from the South." So like, not everybody's like that, of course, but a lot of people are. I don't want to throw a whole bunch of comparisons at you and percentages and all that. But if you look at a 1,200 square foot home out on the coast, you're going to double that square footage here in the Raleigh area for a larger home, 2-car garage and all of that. And that's not a special deal. Actually, that's pretty normal. Now, the average home price here is above the national average, just to be clear. But overall, for most cities and suburbs in the country, we are priced better. One thing people say to me a lot when they're looking to buy a home in the area is that the property taxes are way lower, especially if you're coming from New York. It can be like 8-10%. If you're looking at California, it's a couple percent. Over here, you're talking about 1% taxes. Now, the houses are appraised every 4 years, so they are going to keep the prices updated. I'm not going to tell you that Raleigh is some hidden gem nobody's discovered and there's still it's such an incredible, ridiculous bargain, because that ship has sailed and prices have gone up here. Prices across the United States went up during COVID, and for most of them, they haven't come down. But for most people watching this, the prices are better. Of course, you need to compare to your own area, but that's the motivation that's got you watching this video and thinking about making a move. And here's the thing people don't talk about. Even if the price of a house, let's say, was $100,000 than it is in your town, that doesn't just reflect on your price, your pricing and your taxes, your property taxes. It reflects on your lifestyle. If you're saving $100,000 on your purchase, and maybe you're saving $200, $300, or $400 a month off the price of the house, well, what are you doing with that money? Well, you're saving it, putting it towards retirement, towards kids' funds, taking an extra trip here or an extra trip to the coast. You're spending it because you've got a little more freedom. So your lifestyle translates differently. I've seen a lot of people make the move, and what they eventually end up saying is they feel like their lifestyle is more comfortable. So when your income is matching what your costs are, you're not always drowning in bills and debts. It translates into a more comfortable lifestyle, and it gives you breathing room. That's what people move here for. They move here to retire. They move here for an easier life with their family. They move here to upgrade their home. Maybe that same home I just compare it to where I came from. That same home that's 1,400 square feet in San Diego and cost you $800,000. $800,000 will buy you a small mansion here. It's 3,000 square feet, 3,500 square feet of a beautiful house here with the lifestyle and everything that comes along with it. Now, this pricing and this lifestyle change, it won't last forever. Let me tell you what we see that's coming up next for this area. We're going to call this love number 5. Billions of dollars are being poured into the Raleigh, North Carolina area. This is the one that really changes what people think about when they're making this move, because people ask me, "Hey, Chris, if I buy in this area, how do I know that this house is going to increase in value?" Well, nobody can predict the housing market, and It has been up and down for sure, but over time, the increase is coming because the tech is coming and the biotech is coming and the pharmaceuticals are coming to this area. Recent confirmed on the ground real news are companies like the makers of Wegovy, Novo Nordisk. They have broken ground, actually started building facilities that they're going to spend $4.1 billion on, not million, $1 billion on, over in East Raleigh, East Wake County area. You can only imagine what's going on over there. Well, houses are being built, people are moving, people are getting ready to move. They're imagining and projecting into the area that they're going to have a lifestyle with a nice job in a manufacturing facility. They're estimating it's going to be about 1,000 jobs and it's going to be about $70,000 a year per job. That's going to be opening very, very soon. In fact, by the time you see this video, that facility may be getting completed or completed. And then there's Apple. I'm sure you've heard of them. You might be watching me on an Apple TV or on your Apple iPhone, but Apple has started and been in negotiations to build an office here for a couple of years. They're talking about spending $1 billion. By the time they build it, it'll be more than that. There have been some delays, so it's not a guarantee, but that's what Apple is looking at. Why are they looking here? Well, for all the reasons we just talked about. Lifestyle for employees. The tech hub of Research Triangle Park is right nearby, and they believe in this area enough to put $1 billion into a facility here. Their first hiring commitments kick in 2027. So by the time you're watching this, they may already be starting up. Big pharmaceutical, big tech moving into the Raleigh area, and tech is already here. SaaS is here, as well as other major companies that are operating and thriving in the Research Triangle area. People who take these jobs need housing. People who take these jobs need entertainment and restaurants and all of that. So the money is coming into the area. In my opinion, the West area, but we just talked about a pharmaceutical spending $4 billion over in East Raleigh. So that area is gonna explode as well. I'm not predicting anything. I'm just reading the news and watching what's happening in the town and city that I love. The people who move to Raleigh, North Carolina and the surrounding areas in the next 12 to 24 months are going to be ahead of the curve. They're going to be moving in while prices are coming back, bouncing back from COVID, and also while infrastructures are being built and built up. Hey, 540 freeway is almost complete, and that is a big update that people in this area have been waiting 4 years for. Well, it's almost done, and it's providing lots of freeway space for people to drive around and to get around easier. Restaurants are being built. We have a couple of award-winning barbecue places, even in places way out in East Raleigh, that have become famous for what they're doing in the restaurant area. So I'm not saying this to create urgency with you. Sorry, it's a little hot today. But I am saying it because this is reality of what's happening here. Now, I'm not here to tell you whether Raleigh, North Carolina or the surrounding areas are a fit for you, but I am here to help you on that tour and help you on that guide if that's what you need. So I'm a guide to get you where you need to go. If you want to get here and you want lifestyle and you want a great neighborhood, a great house, you want to live in the area that's really going to feed your heart and your soul, we can help guide you and get you there. So wouldn't it be worth a quick conversation with somebody on our team to make sure that Raleigh's a good fit and there's a neighborhood here for you and a house or a condo here for you in this area? Before I get to our last point, go ahead and contact us or click the link and just book a Zoom call. Why not have a quick conversation and find out if this is a good fit for you? What areas might work for you and your budget? Consistently rated as one of the top 10 areas that people are moving into and relocating to, I'm going to tell you that approximately 100 people per day are moving into the Raleigh area from all over the world. If you're concerned about culture, you're concerned about finding food that matches your life, trust me when I say we have all the cultures here from all around the world. We have all the foods here from all around the world. We have all the lifestyles here from all around the world. You're not going to feel out of place in Raleigh. I was worried about that when I first moved. I thought, well, I'm kind of a city guy and I like to wear a flat rim hat and I like to drive a Lexus. Am I going to stand out? And my father-in-law, who's been here for ever. No, you're not going to stand out. You're going to Raleigh. You're not moving to like some hillbilly town or something, somewhere way up in the mountains. Let's start right off with the lie that gets a lot of people, and that lie is money. The first thing you might hate about Raleigh is affordability. You need to fully understand what you're getting into before you move to this area. A lot of people have the misconception that you can move to Raleigh and the hot spots here and the surrounding areas and buy a nice house, nice big newer house for $350,000. I kind of used to think that way until we moved here. And we realized, no, you actually can't buy a nice newer house. If you want anything built in the last 20 years, it's going to cost you at minimum $450,000 to $500,000 at minimum. Buy a decent house, and it might even need renovations from 2001. So get over that misconception pretty quick. Now, can you buy a house for $350,000 in a Raleigh address? Yes, you can. Most likely it's going to be built 50 years ago. Most likely it's going to be small, and most likely it's going to need a gut or a renovation. What I mean by gut, I mean you're going to have to paint it, change the kitchen, change the bathrooms, everything, cabinets, appliances, all of that stuff. So we want to dispel that myth right away. And I don't want you moving to the area thinking, well, I'll just save up some money and we'll get a place and we think we can afford this much or that much. Really find out what the areas are that you're even contemplating moving to and what the real price is going to be in that area. That's just the first shock. It's the humidity and the heat. Now, if it was just heat and it was dry heat, I might be able to handle it. In fact, I lived in a town, California, that had dry heat for 3 months out of the year. It wasn't too bad. The humidity at 80%, sometimes 90, 95% humidity, it hits you like a wall. And you just have to be ready in the summertime to wear shorts, wear short sleeve shirts, wear clothes that dry out quickly, because just going out to get the mail from the mailbox, you might be covered in sweat. And here's the thing, it sticks to you. It just gets sticky. You're gonna go see your kids play baseball. Great, game starts at 6. The sun is gonna be up for 2 hours pounding before that sun goes down and you start to get some relief from the heat, but the humidity stays. You wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go for a jog, it is still 80% humidity. It sticks. Makes your hair frizzy no matter what product you use, all kinds of stuff. But that's not even the thing that surprises people the most. This next one is sneaky. When you look at a map of Raleigh and it's got that big circle, that belt line that goes all the way around the center of Raleigh, which is where I am right now. This is downtown Raleigh. You think to yourself, oh, going from downtown to here or there doesn't look too bad, maybe 20 minutes. Almost nothing is 10 to 15 minutes away. Everything is 20 to 30 minutes drive. It all looks close. Here's a good example. If you look at a map of Cary, the hot spot in this area, just north of Cary is Morrisville, and Cary stretches all the way down into some of the tentacles of the town actually go down below US 1, below Lockmere, and down into those areas to where it could take you 25 minutes to drive from the top of Cary to the bottom of Cary. Also, the grid system, it isn't even a grid system. The streets don't run straight, except for downtown. They run around, US 1 runs at an angle, 70 runs at an angle, 55 runs up and down, but it's kind of at an angle. And so no matter where you're going, you want to put in how much time that's going to take you and make sure that you know how much that drive is actually going to take. Don't guess and don't just look at it and say, yeah, it looks like this or that. It's really strange that through some of the areas that they didn't really plan on exploding, they just didn't put any streets. They put 1-lane streets, and those get jammed up actually pretty quickly. Streets and getting from place to place, as well as commuting from the area that you want to live in, those are the things you want to plot out before you buy that house. That's why we walk through that with our clients. We look at what the drive time really looks like. For instance, to Research Triangle Park or downtown Raleigh or to wherever it is that you're commuting to. It's worth it to sit down with somebody who knows the area and check that out ahead of time. The fourth thing that people really don't get prepared for here is the pollen and the allergy season. And when I say pollen is thick, we're going to show you some pictures. My editor's going to put in B-roll of layers of pollen on my car. Now, here's the really aggravating part of it. You clean off the car, take it to the car wash, or you wipe it off yourself. The very next day, it's covered all over again. And if you start to dust it off or brush it or sweep it, you better keep yourself clear of that pollen because it will go up into the air and get onto your clothes and actually layer your clothes. And that's real. That happens on the regular here in this town. People start preparing ahead of time. They start preparing for allergy season, taking medication every night to get ready and using Flonase and different things in their nose to make sure that they've got protection from the elements. Pollen is actually part of another element that we need to talk about, and that's the weather. Now, everybody talks about the heat, and we did too, right? We talked about the heat, talked about the humidity, but the really wild part that people don't realize until they get here is how quickly the weather can change. And what I mean by that is we had 85-degree weather one day. Within 3 days, it dropped down 30 degrees to like 55, and a storm rolls in and a thunderstorm comes and it rains and pours and pours and pours and pours. You're like, just a couple days ago, I was sweating in the heat. And now I'm like grabbing my umbrella and my rain jacket. My car has a sweater in the back, and has a rain jacket in the back and an umbrella, because I don't ever want to be caught without those things, because the weather changes so quickly and it gets hardcore. Like, we had a rainstorm that just downpoured for days, actually filled up all the gullies and holes in our backyard. And it was just crazy how much rain can come down at one time. We get ice storms here. We get threats of power outage. And really all that is the grid is just fine, but all these trees, they all have rotten limbs on them, and it takes a storm to start shaking them up and knock the branches down. What do the branches do? They knock down power lines, and there you go. Now you've got power lines knocked out. Now, Duke Energy, which runs almost all the energy in Raleigh, they're very efficient. I will say that. They do really great. But if it's an ice storm where your car is going to be skidding around on the ice, they're not going to send the trucks out. Like, it's too dangerous to drive, so you just stay home. So what people don't prepare for is get a generator when you move here, or get one of those generators that attaches to your house. But have that thing ready, have some gallons of gas ready, because you just might lose power for a while. Alternately, you could go to a friend's house or go, stay somewhere where they do have power. But most people just kind of hunker down and get it. I mean, the last big storm we had, I went to Home Depot and they were sold out of gas generators. There wasn't any there. They told us there was a truck coming from Alabama. So we stood in the store for, I think my son and I stood there for an hour and a half. We were like, there was a line of people, and there was a guy who'd been there since 6 o'clock in the morning. He was first in line, and we stood there and waited. This truck pulls up, they put the gas generators on a pallet, roll them in, and they sell them right straight out the front door. So it was like, there was a demand for those gas generators. And then we grabbed the gas tanks, and then we all went and gassed up. Funny thing about it is, after all that effort, I was left with gas cans in my shed full of gas, because we didn't actually need the generator because the power didn't go out. But we wanted to make sure our family was safe. We wanted to make sure we didn't, go without power. I do have older parents that live with us. So the weather is real, the weather is extreme, and really the way that it changes so fast is the thing that kind of gets you. And I remember one time going out, and it was sunny and warm, went out with shorts. By the afternoon, I was completely soaked. It had just rained and gotten cold within like about 3 or 4 hours. So it's something that really, people talk about the weather being extreme in the heat. They don't talk about how quickly it changes. And that's one of those big reasons people struggle with Raleigh. There's a place for you in Raleigh. Let's find out where that is. Hey, if you're thinking about different areas in Raleigh, I made a playlist that would be really great for you to check out. I'm going to set the link here so you can check it out and meet me over there. And I'll show you some more areas that are really interesting, including the 3 places I expect to explode in 2027. I hinted at them in this video, but you got to check out the real story to find out if maybe that's where you should land when you move to North Carolina. I will see you in that playlist. Thanks.